Hello and welcome back to the That's Metal production channel here at YouTube, and welcome to a special Album of the Week episode. Of course, this is episode number 19. However, again, as you saw from the intro, this of course is the first one to kick off, well, Judas Priest week. And the reason is because of I'm just doing a couple of videos or so after this one, leading into, of course, my 100th review, which, of course, my 100th review will be, of course, on Judas Priest's newest album, of course, Firepower, which, of course, again, will be released on March 9th, which, of course, is Friday here, and that's definitely several days here. So, now, the album, of course, on Spotlight today is definitely one of their older albums, of course. As you can see, the album is Killing Machine, released back in 1978, but then, of course, released in 1979 again in the States, the US, and America and such, as, of course, Hellbent for Leather, with the addition of their cover of Fleetwood Mac's The Green Manalishi with its two-pronged crown. So, now, of course, you're wondering why I'm picking this one instead of something like maybe Stained Class. Well, I kind of went in like a sort of mini money mo with this one between Stained Class and Killing Machine, and, well, it dropped on Killing Machine. Of course, I love Stained Class. That's definitely one of the best albums. However, it just seems almost predictable to kind of even, spotlight Stained Class. It doesn't need to be spotlighted in a way. It's already an immortal album to begin with. So, same goes for an album like Painkiller, or Screaming for Vengeance, or, Sin After Sin, or Sad Wings of Destiny, or to some extent maybe like British Steel, or, or Defenders of the Faith. You know, it's already, those are already immortal albums to begin with, but I'm picking an album that's definitely kind of a very good, well-known album. Of course, this album is very noted for being the album to really introduce their leather outfits, you know, the whole feel of them that you would end up getting later on, of course, and to present these days. The whole leather image was all pretty much personified on this album, even though their sound as a whole was represented a lot more on the Stained Class album, where they've truly found a bit of their sound, but as far as the image came on this album. Now, don't get me wrong, Killing Machine's a good album. This album, it's like, if you look beside, look besides the track Take on the World, which is probably the cheesiest and definitely the most commercially friendly track on the album, it's actually definitely a quite enjoyable album. Everything from like Delivering the Goods, Rock Forever, the song Hellbent for Leather, Burning Up, their cover of Green Manalishi, which that's actually, if I were to say what was the very first Judas Priest song I ever heard, it's actually the Green Manalishi. First hearing it on the compilation Living After Midnight, the very best of Judas Priest, hearing that back in 2003. And it was the first song that kicked off that copy, which is, of course, was the American version, not the European version, of course. But just hearing that for the first time, it really is kind of one of those that has me personifying Priest in my mind. It's like, that's the first song I heard. And, of course, it was a cover. And, of course, hearing the original, it's very different. But in a way, just that sort of chugging riff, that sort of like staccato, almost kind of mid-pace riffing, that's kind of what made me kind of personify Judas Priest. But, of course, back to the album itself, Killing Machine, which is, of course, the title track, Running Wild, and Evil Fantasies are pretty much some of the best songs off of Killing Machine. However, sort of melodic songs like Evening Star is actually quite of a good song. It almost has more of a... I've heard some people say it's a ballad, but to me it sounds more something I would kind of expect from a band like Styx, or to some extent Boston or some of those kind of AOR pomp kind of bands. But in a way, Judas Priest kind of took a bit of that and added their own flair to it, added their own ideas. Of course, they never quite achieved the success of those kind of bands and never really got as much radio play. But at least here in the States. But it definitely is quite of a good song. And of course, even the ballad on this sound, the real ballad, which of course is Before the Dawn, which really, I've always heard people say it was one of their weakest ballads. But the thing is, or saying, if people want to compare it like, oh yeah, it's not Beyond the Realms of Death. It's not. Why you're trying comparing this song to a song like Beyond the Realms of Death? It's a totally different ballad. If anything, it has more something I would have expected from like Scorpions or UFO, or just bands in that sort of style. And if anything, if it was Before the Dawn was recorded by Scorpions, who would have thunk it? It wouldn't make much of a difference. But still, it's just it's definitely Judas Priest taking on that sort of kind of ballad, and I think they did a good job. However, let me kind of also fast forward the song Evil Fantasies, which is actually the song that ends it. I've always kind of felt the song very much had been of them taking more of their bluesier influences from the earlier albums, like especially like Rock-a-Rolla. It definitely kind of has more of that sort of feel instead of something like off of Stained Class. But it still is a great song. If anything, I've always kind of, it has a bit of a Foghat feel to it at times as well. Which, of course, Judas Priest did tour at one point with Foghat. And I guess maybe a bit of that, but again, it has that sort of bluesy hard rock feel to it. But they just, again, they add their own flair to it. And I think this album, even though this was their first to really explore that sort of mainstream commercial radio sound that was kind of getting popular with them both United States and Europe, I think Judas Priest did it better on this album than they did on albums such as British Steel or Point of Entry, which all those albums had similar sounds. Because, of course, Human for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith are definitely totally different sounding albums than anything before. But since both Killing Machine, British Steel, and Point of Entry all kind of had a way of consisting themselves pretty tight, Killing Machine is the better of the three. Better written in a way, better structured. Definitely, they added a lot more of their flair to it than what they tried. The more the time that they definitely kept exploring more of that sort of commercially poppy sort of sound, I think they just got a bit of a stupider and stupider. Definitely a Point of Entry with like fucking All the Way. Really? Are you fucking kidding me? Anything off a Killing Machine is fucking better. But still, I actually really enjoy the Killing Machine album. It's definitely a solid, fun listen from start to finish. In a way, of course, yes. Even that includes Take on the World. I actually have a soft spot to it, and I'm gonna be really honest with you. It's better than fucking United. United was nothing more than a weak, half-assed retake of Take on the World. So there's my little strong opinions here and there on this. So still, I think Killing Machine was a good album from Judas Priest. They're first to explore the commercial sound, and they're best to explore. And that means they probably should have stopped there and kept playing more of maybe the sound of like Stained Class, which they still kept adding some of those kind of heavy tracks, on like British Steel, Scream for Vengeance, Defenders of the Faith, and of course even Ram It Down, and of course leading in to their heaviest album to date, Painkiller, and that's the sound that they still have been exploring. So, with all that, Kill Machine's just a good album. So, definitely I'll still be talking more Judas Priest within the week leading up to my 100th review, which of course that review being, well, Firepower. So, Until then, this is Heavy Thresh. I'm out, and I hope you enjoy this week. Until then, take care.